The end of 2022 brought on a wave of deadly domestic violence incidents. As our coverage into this issue continues, we're also watching out for survivors, highlighting resources in our area. Our Joelle Jones toured Multnomah County's Domestic Violence Resource Center. She joins us now live. Joelle?
Well, Wayne, we're told the average survivor goes back to their partners nearly 7 times before they're able to break from an abusive relationship. And because these people often feel powerless, the Gateway Center says they're committed to meeting survivors where they're at and giving them the power to decide what services they need.
We really are seeing not necessarily an uptick in the prevalence of domestic violence, but more people reaching out for support around domestic violence because their situations feel unmanageable.
Tucked away off East Burnside is the county's Gateway Center for Domestic Violence Services. Complete with a children's playroom and a triage of services, the hub helps connect survivors to housing, counseling, childcare, legal services, and more.
This is our partner offices.
But Senior Manager Alex Sanchez tells us the goal is not only to meet people's needs, but to also meet survivors where they're at.
Turns out one of the most dangerous things that a survivor can do is leave. That is the time when the lethality of a relationship just skyrockets. It's when people are reaching out for services, when they are attempting to leave, when they're attempting to make that break. It is a very delicate and dangerous time for survivors, and survivors are having to make that calculation, often not just for themselves, but for their kids.
And while the center's services are still appointment only, Sanchez says the remote model has allowed the center to provide more options and services to survivors. This comes after the Clark County Sheriff's Office says they saw more intimate partner murder-suicides in the last few months than in the last 3 years combined, with PPB also saying domestic violence was a factor in 15 of the 96 homicides recorded this year, saying in part, quote, "Tragically, this is a persistent and vexing problem in our society." PPB continues working with its partners to help prevent such incidents and encourage reporting. Sanchez is clear that power and control are the root causes of domestic violence, but says stress, anger, and financial struggles often foster dangerous situations for survivors.
When there are times of deep financial stress or uncertainty, we really saw during the pandemic especially, folks experiencing just this cascade of stressors that really created, for a lot of folks who maybe were in relationships where there was some power and control, some unhealthy dynamics happening, that those just really got exacerbated.
And as the community continues to recover from the pandemic due to financial abuse and other tactics, Sanchez says the recovery process is often longer for survivors. And with rental assistance and other COVID-specific supports starting to expire, Sanchez tells us staff and advocates are growing concerned for what that means for the people still in those relationships.
And many of those COVID-specific resources are set to kind of sunset and go away, and the need isn't gone. So that's kind of where the stress for us as advocates comes from, is really knowing that the need is still there and kind of trying to figure out what is the next phase of resourcing our continuum to be able to meet the needs of survivors and their families.
Now, if you or someone you know is struggling or seeking help, we have linked out the county's resource page, which includes the number for the Gateway Center. We have all of that information and more for you at KOIN.com. Reporting live in downtown Portland, I'm Joelle Jones, KOIN 6 News.